Hi guys, today I'm going to be talking to you about the books that I read in January 2023. The first book that I read is actually my favorite read of the year thus far, and that book is A Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson. This is a young adult fantasy book. We follow Elizabeth, who grew up in one of Ostermere's great libraries. She's an apprentice librarian and hopes to one day train to become a warden. After an act of sabotage where one of the library's most dangerous grimoires is released, Elizabeth is accused of treason. So she is to be questioned, and who else picks her up other than Magister Nathaniel Thorne and his mysterious servant Silas. I would recommend this book if you like the found family trope, books about books, and action-packed scenes. I felt that this was very well paced, it was well written, it was so engaging and easy to read, but not in a juvenile sense, like in the sense that I was just so engrossed and intrigued to see what would happen next, and the fantasy elements and world building were very digestible. So I don't think this is one of the fantasy books that you're going to be incredibly confused of what's going on. The characters are amazing. They're very well developed and have depth, and they're the kind of characters that you can get attached to. Like, I am certainly attached to all of them now. They all belong in my heart. This book was very engaging, imaginative, suspenseful, and emotional. I cried a couple times reading this book, and I genuinely laughed out loud. I really loved the humor in this book. If you like the humor from the Six of Crows duology or the Shatter Me series, where it'll just be very high stakes moments, like tense situations, crazy things happening, and the characters just have like superb comedic like timing and like comments, I think you will like this. If you like fantasy, read this book, please. Even if you don't, read it. It's a part of my soul now. It's part of my personality, and I give it 1,000,000 out of 5 stars. Okay, so I'm going to share a moment between Nathaniel and Elizabeth with you. I wish I could share more of this moment with you because it is superb, top-notch, delightful, but there's content in it that would definitely spoil the story for you. So I'm gonna just include a little blurb. It says, I think I was a bit dead already before you came along. He turned his head, taking her in. It's an honor to fight by your side, Elizabeth, for however long it lasts. You've reminded me to live. That's worth having something to lose. Then I read Gilded by Marissa Meyer. This is another young adult fantasy book, and this is a haunting retelling of Rumpelstiltskin. In this book, we follow Serilda, who is cursed by the god of lies, and she has a talent of spilling fantastical and compelling stories that are thought to be entirely untrue. And then one night, on the night of a hunt, one of her wild stories catches the attention of the Earl King and his undead hunters. Her lies land her with the task to spin straw into gold, a feat she can't actually accomplish. In her desperation, when she's locked in the cell of a castle to do said spinning of straw into gold, she summons a mysterious boy who can do that for a price. So I didn't love this book, but I also didn't hate it. I felt that the story was a bit slow. It doesn't look huge here, but this is a huge book. Like, currently reading The Night Circus, so I'll show you. This is The Night Circus. This is Gilded. And The Night Circus is 500 pages. Like, this is not a tiny book. So it's a very big book. It was a bit slow. I felt that it was unnecessarily long, and I felt that the main character, Serilda, was a bit one-dimensional, a little bit lackluster, and dare I say boring. Also beware if you read this that there are multiple dark and graphic scenes, so if that's not for you, I wouldn't really recommend this. It still wasn't bad. I thought the premise was really intriguing, however, I just feel like it could have been better executed. So for me, it was probably a 3 out of 5 stars. Then I read The Fine Print by Lauren Asher, and this is an adult romance book and the first book in the Dreamland Billionaire series, which is an interconnected standalone series, which means that although it is like technically a series, you can read any of the 3 books in any order that you so please. This book is dual POV, so we get to see the perspective of both Zara and Rowan. Rowan and his 2 brothers are taking over the family business, which is Dreamland, basically Disneyland, and they each have a task to complete left in the will of their grandfather in order to get their positions and take over the company as they would like to. Being a part of the family that owns the company, obviously Rowan is high up, and Zara is somebody who she works there, but she works in what would be at Disneyland Bippity Boppity Boutique, like where they do kids' hair and makeup and dress up and everything. So she works there, but she has her heart more set in like architecture and engineering and creating. One night, Zara drunkenly submits a proposal to better one of Dreamland's rides and actually ends up getting offered the position to do that, get her dream job by Rowan Kane. Rowan is completely closed off, honestly. He's rude as well, very rude. And Zara is quite the opposite. She's very bubbly, outgoing, and kind. And we get to learn about Rowan's dark past and his trauma. And we also see things that Zara had to go through as well. I really enjoyed reading about the setting. It was a setting that I've never read before, being at a theme park, so I thought that that was really fun. My favorite thing about this book was actually the representation. I felt that it was very well done. It wasn't just sprinkled in as like a checklist off item. It was continuous and throughout the story. Zara's sister is on the spectrum, and we get to see her create a really nice bond with Rowan. We see both Zara and Rowan propose how to make Dreamland better, more accessible for everyone who has a disability, whether it's visible or not. This isn't the type of book that I would typically read, and I personally wasn't really a fan of Rowan and Zara's relationship. It felt a bit sometimes unhealthy to me, not the best. I think they had some work to do before they got together, especially Rowan. Overall, though, I would recommend this book. It was a 3 out of 5 stars for me. Then I read the first volume of Spy Family, which is a manga, and it is the first manga I've ever read. In this story, we are following a spy, and he receives a new assignment, and in this assignment, he needs to be married and have a child. He is not aware that the child he adopts is a telepath, and that his wife, who is mutually benefiting from the marriage, is an assassin. So watching that dynamic is really fun. The scenes are so fun. It's an easy, quick read, and there's also a show, so I'm excited to continue on with the series and be able to watch it as well. I would definitely recommend. And the final book that I read in January is This Vanishing Stare by Maureen Johnson. This is the second book in a young